Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today's topic is Generation X, and I believe that's 1964 to 1980. I know sometimes they differ in a year or two either way, but Generation X is the generation I belong to, and I've seen a lot of funny videos that talk about some of the things that we did growing up, how we were the last generation to kind of learn to be creative and use our minds and figure things out, and survive on our own. So I wanted to name some of the things that I did growing up. So I remember some of the sports that we played were basketball in a rock filled driveway. If you fell, you were definitely getting some rock prints embedded in your knees, or worse, busted up knees or ankles or elbows. We also played football, or a game called 500 in the street, where somebody shoots the football and whoever catches it, you get points. But then you got cars coming constantly, so that was an issue. Tag, especially at nighttime, was fun, and we'd use the whole neighborhood, 3 or 4 blocks long. During the winter time, where I live, we had snow, so we would go sliding down the biggest hills on the most thinnest piece of slippery plastic that we could find. Some people actually did break bones and stuff like that, doing those things. But during the summer, we definitely had a lot to do. Water balloon fights, sprinklers, playing with the water hose, besides drinking from it, fireworks, sometimes shooting them at each other, skateboarding. We also had bikes, which was our main form of transportation, our chariots. And you learned how to fix a chain, fix a flat tire, adjust the seats, handlebars. Swimming, that was a big thing. Here we had swimming at the lake, swimming in the lagoon, swimming in the river, jumping off the pier, and then swimming in the public pools. So that was a big thing that people experienced, along with sunburn if they had a light skin tone. We also went fishing on the weekends and during the summer at all these various places except for the pools. We'd also go catch snakes by the river, and sometimes we'd sell them to a pet store. Long walks, could be miles, walking to the mall, walking to the library, learning to use the card catalogs to locate the books you wanted. If you had some money, taking a bus and getting a paper transfer, which you had to pay attention to how long you had, and you could try to adjust it by ripping it a little bit more. For money, we also had lemonade stands, paper routes, cutting lawn, working for the neighbors, shoveling snow, yard work. There was just a lot of things you had to figure out on your own, like people's phone numbers. You had to memorize phone numbers, or you had to look in phone books, which had like every single person's number was in this big book. Using dictionaries, learning to use maps. The newspapers had everything, so you definitely need newspapers. They told, the entertainment, the comics, the news, what movies were showing, what time, what sports results were, unemployment, looking for jobs, cartoons, everything was in the newspaper. By the time I was 10, I also learned how to cook, clean, do my own laundry, walking to a couple blocks away, learning how to grocery shop, learning to use payphones, mail letters, all those things we did at this time. And we just survived. This was the time of the Satanic Panic, where they talked about the heavy metal music and influenced by Satanism and all that. Stranger Danger, you had missing children on milk cartons and the America's Most Wanted Adam Walsh story. You also had things like the crack epidemic, and we learned words like crack houses and crackheads, and this is your brain on drugs. We also had the AIDS epidemic, and people learned about safe sex and using condoms. We also had a gang violence epidemic in the 90s. Some people thought it was caused by gangster rap, or movies like Boys in the Hood or stuff like that. But I think it was the young people formed tribes on the streets, and they found their families, and they protected each other. If they were surviving on their own. And yeah, these are just some of the things I wanted to mention in my upbringing. Like, share, comment. I know the majority of people here haven't subscribed, so please subscribe. You have anything to add to this, your experiences, please do. See you next time.